And welcome back to the Ruby Tuesday. My name's Ruben, and this is my review for KGF Chapter 2. It's been a film that's been requested for me to review a lot of. I recently reviewed KGF 1, and if you watch that review, you'll know that I wasn't hugely impressed by it. And I understand why. It's very culture specific, and there's a lot of subtle nuances, even editing style, that I think took me by surprise, which is why I didn't love it, I didn't hate it, but I was kind of down the middle path. Do you think this one was any better? Did it stand up higher in my perception? Let's jump in and find out. In the blood-soaked Kolar Gold Fields, Rocky's name strikes fear into his foes, while his allies look up to him. The government sees him as a threat to law and order. Rocky must battle threat within and without. So again, it's just under 3 hours. It feels like it's a three-part movie. We have the beginning where we see Rocky's empire, everything that he wanted it to be, everything that his mother kind of instilled him to be, to shine as bright as can, even if you don't live for that long. And so that is kind of the empire that we've seen him kind of fight for at the end of chapter 1. It's been 4 years since we had that first chapter. I think it came out in 2018, and now we have the conclusion. So the first half is really kind of showing what happens. There is his nemesis, the guy that we think that is dead. There's this guy that comes along and he has to fight him. Is one of my issues with this film is that the bad guys, or whoever is your enemy, if you come to the guy that is your nemesis, you should kill him. And a number of times in this film, it feels like they had opportunities to do that, but they don't for whatever reason. And that always comes back to bite them in the butt, and that is a Hollywood trope as well. Lots of times, that's coming back to bite in the butt, right? That's a bad decision. So when characters make bad decisions, you're like, oh, that's going to come back, and it does. And I guess that's part of the fun in the story, how they do that. I will say that the action sequences in this, for me, were better than they were in the first one. Lots more bigger in scope, very epic in nature. But of course, we still have that new kind of editing style, that fade to black. There was this epic kind of Mad Max scene that I was really wanting to see, but it really annoyed me because lots of fade to blacks. You see a moment of something happening, fade to black. It reminded me of Moon Knight, the Disney show, where we're getting these action sequences and then suddenly fade to black, and you come back and a bunch of stuff has happened and you're like, well, what happened there? I wanted to see that. Reminds me of that. That's not to say you don't get to see some of the action. There's this hand-to-hand combat scene within the first first hour of the film with Rocky, and we get to see him do his stuff. And then it's, the way we've come to expect the movie to show that is through slow motion action sequence poster shots with hair looking perfect, introducing your character by literally naming him on screen. That made me smile. It's like, here is this actor and he's playing this. And I thought, okay, cool, he must be a very big name. I presume he is because of the amount of space his name got on the screen. But when we get to see him fight, it's fun, it's choreographed well, it's quite brutal, it looks good. The cinematography throughout the just under 3 hour runtime was fantastic. My wife was watching some of it, she was next to me reading, and then occasionally she would glance and she's like, wow, this would rival Game of Thrones sort of cinematography, because it does. It just, if you could take the expertise of cinematography, of some of the stuff that they do within this culture, the knowledge they have, and put it into some of the Hollywood films that just sometimes feel lackluster in that area, I think there would be a shift in tonal palette. Anyway, I digress. The film itself has more heart. I think you root for the people more, because Rocky's kind of empire is established, it kind of crumbles, and then he's got to build it back up again. And so you're already behind him because you've seen what he has done at the beginning. So although he is still a criminal and the things he does is bad and he kills people, he is there for the people. He kind of frees the slaves. Even the police are corrupt to a certain extent. So you feel like he's the bad guy, but he's the best of everything that they have in that time. And the El Dorado gold is at the center and the core of this, and you wonder what is behind his mind, and you understand that by the time you get to the end, why is he actually doing all of this. But there were emotional beats that I was surprised. I was like, oh, okay, that person I wasn't expecting to die, or that particular character I wasn't expecting to like, or redemption story arc moments for certain characters that I wasn't expecting to be in the film any longer. So it does things better, I feel, than it did in episode 1 or chapter 1. And for that reason, I'm going to give it 4 Nicolas Cages out of 5. I know everybody's going to shout at me, say, Ruben, this is one of the best films. It should be 5 out of 5. Well, coming from the UK, the editing style, the pacing, the choice of how they tell the story, for me, it's a 4. But 4 is still very good. I understand if you absolutely love it and you're like, yo, you don't know what you're talking about. That's fair enough. But just from my perception, it's very well put together. I like the acting, but I do feel like they could have had more time to act. The character, the actor that is Rocky, doesn't actually have that much dialogue. For the most part, he's doing poses in slow motion throughout the film, and it feels like a 3-hour music video with various kind of scores coming in to showcase or tell the story through the music and the nuance that they're trying to tell. And then occasionally he'll get to say something, but then even as he's saying it, there'll be like slow-mo stuff. I literally called Doves. I said this would be a perfect John Woo moment if there were birds flying about, and the next scene we had birds flying about. And so that's the type of, it's a very stylistic film that has a lot. I think if you're from the culture, you're going to see so much. It's going to mean so much to you. But from the outside that I don't know much, I'm starting to get it. I'm starting to understand. Not all of it, and I'm sure I've missed loads, and you can tell me about it in the comments. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was better than chapter 1. Let me know what else I should be watching. Thanks so much for watching. But most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.